In this section, we can discuss about the topic contiguous memory allocation. So, we know there are many processes they are waiting for memory to begin its execution. The memory I mean here is the main memory. Okay, and we have a certain amount of main memory, and we can't allocate the entire memory to a single process. And in this lecture, we will discuss about how the memory is allocated to a particular process. Okay. And one of the simplest method for allocating memory is divide memory into fixed size partition. Okay. So memory fixed size partition divide பண்ணணும். Okay. Next, each partition may contain exactly one process. So in such a way, ஒரு partitionல ஒரு process allocate பண்ணணும். Okay. Next, when a partition is free, a process is selected from the input queue. Okay. And we know the process that are waiting for execution, they are all placed in the input queue. Okay. So once the partition it becomes free, the process can be selected from the input queue and it is loaded into that particular free partition. Okay. And when that process terminates, now the partition allocated for that particular process, it will be free now, right? And that partition it becomes available for another process which is waiting in the input queue. Okay. So I will explain this with an example. So this is the main memory, and here you can see the memory here is divided into several fixed size partitions. Okay, several fixed size partition, and here the circle represents the processes. Okay, so you can see this all processes are a different size. Okay, that is they all will have different memory requirements. Okay, and the partition that we are assigning to this particular processes should be fit enough to hold the process. Okay, and the task here I will pick the first process and I am placing in this first partition, so it is perfectly fitting in this first partition. When I place in the second partition, okay, it is large enough to fit the process, and when I'm placing in this third, so it does not fit in this third partition. In this fourth, okay, it is perfectly fitting here, and fifth, okay, sixth also okay. So this first process can be fit in all the free partitions except the third partition. So third partition is small to hold this first process. Okay, so let's see another scenario. So here it is also in the main memory, and here I have made some more partitions in the main memory. Okay, and here the circuit represents the processes which are waiting in the ready queue. Okay, so what I am doing, I will choose the first process and I will try to place in the first partition. Okay, so here it is large enough to hold the first process, and choose the second process, next process, where I can fix into this partition which is large enough to hold this process, right? And picking the third process, it can perfectly fit in this second partition. Okay, next fourth process, where I can place in the last partition. Okay, next here I left with one bigger process. இந்த process நான் இங்க எங்கயாவது fix பண்ண முடியுமா, எங்க allocate பண்ணலாம்? I can allocate only to this partition. Okay, but here there is already another processes in this partition. Okay, so until and unless this process completes execution and swapped out from the main memory, this process can be swapped into this partition. So here there are three empty free partitions, right? So um, what we can do, one thing we can do here, we can merge these three partitions into a single partition. Okay, so when we can merge this, in which situation we can merge these three single partition into a single partition? here the partitions, they should be contiguous to each other. That is, they should be adjacent. பக்கத்துல இந்த partition இருந்தா நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம், இந்த partition merge பண்ணலாம். Okay, so if you are merging this, you will get one big partition which is large enough to hold this process. Okay, so clear with the concept?